Hello, this is Dr. Eric Bricker, and thank you for watching A Healthcare Z. Today's topic is, what's so special about specialty pharmacy? So we're going to explain specialty pharmacy today. What in the world is a specialty medication? It is a medication that requires, quote-unquote, high-touch distribution, administration, distribution meaning like how it gets from the pharmaceutical manufacturer out to the actual pharmacy itself. Administration, in other words, the patient, typically it's like a shot, the patient giving it to themselves. And then finally, management. So this is where there's like HIV medications that are pills where they're not necessarily complicated to distribute or administer because they're pills, but the management of HIV medications is complicated. And you've got to do like genetic testing on the virus itself to figure out which drugs work on the virus in individual people. So it's complicated. Okay, there is not a sort of quote-unquote official definition. Like there's no like grand high arbiter that says, hey, this is what a specialty medication is. So this is just like the general definition, okay? But there's nothing quote unquote official about it. Okay, what's the history of specialty pharmacy? Okay, get ready for the most boring topic humanly possible. The history of specialty pharmacy in America. Okay, it started in the 1970s, just when you start having these medications for like these orphan diseases, like hemophilia, right? So very few people have hemophilia. It's a bleeding disorder, and very few people have it. Okay, so but these medications were like super complicated to treat these very few diseases. Okay, even in the 1990s, there was only 30 different medications that quote unquote were specialty pharmacy. So it was rather small. All right, so why in the world did these pharmacies sort of pop up? Well, the way that these quote-unquote specialty medications used to be dealt with, they were hugely expensive. The patient had to pay out of pocket for it, and then they had to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork to then be reimbursed by the insurance company or by Medicare. And so the specialty pharmacies were like, okay, well, as one of our sort of quote-unquote value-add services, we'll like help you fill out your paperwork so that you can get paid back by the insurance company. Also, because these medications were for very rare diseases, if you went to like your typical like random pharmacy, like they wouldn't have it in stock. Do you have any hemophilia medication that costs $100,000? And they'd be like, nope. Okay, so they would have it in stock. And then finally, a lot of these medications, they had to have home delivery because maybe they needed to be refrigerated, or it was sort of a very particular situation. Like they had to be like on ice or dry ice or what have you, right? So the delivery was very unique. So there are these pharmacies popped up to facilitate this sort of quote unquote special nature of these medications. Again, a lot of them were injections. Okay, now, there actually is accreditation for specialty pharmacies, and in fact, only 3% of all pharmacies are actually accredited as specialty pharmacies. And there's two accrediting bodies. There's the Accreditation Commission for Healthcare. They accredit a whole bunch of other stuff as well. It's a private organization. And then there's URAC. I'm sure many of you are familiar with URAC because it is the Utilization Review Accreditation Commission. So both of these organizations accredit a whole bunch of different things in healthcare. And oh, by the way, they just happen to accredit specialty pharmacies as well. Okay, now let's look at the specific specialty pharmacies in America. Obviously, there's the three big ones that you're familiar with. CVS Specialty Pharmacy is part of the CVS PBM. So believe it or not, the largest specialty pharmacy in America by far is part of the largest PBM in America by far. And they make about $73 billion a year in revenue just as part of CVS Specialty Pharmacy, the dispensing of specialty medications. The next largest is Accredo. What in the world is Accredo? Nobody on the planet has ever heard of Accredo before. What's that? It's the specialty pharmacy for Express Scripts, which is now called Evernorth, which is part of Cigna, right? All these names are super confusing. They keep changing. Anyway, Accredo is the Express Scripts specialty pharmacy. It is the second largest. They make $60 billion a year in specialty pharmacy revenue. Again, dispensing specialty medications like Humira. Okay, the next one is Optum Specialty, which of course is part of Optum Rx, the third largest PBM in America. Okay, they have $32 billion in revenue just as part of the Optum Specialty Pharmacy. Okay, those are the top three. And then look what happens when you get to number 4. Guess what? Walgreens, large pharmacy chain in America, they've got a specialty pharmacy as well. Look at their revenue, only $8 billion. And then there's other major corporations in America, major pharmacies in America that also have specialty pharmacies. Walmart and Kroger, the grocery store chain, also have pharmacies and they have specialty pharmacies. Guess what? Walmart and Kroger specialty pharmacies, they only make about $3 billion a year each in revenue. What? How in the world, like 73 billion versus 3 billion? 73 billion is 24 times more. The CVS Specialty Pharmacy is 24 times larger than the Walmart Specialty Pharmacy? Why is that? How could Walmart ever let this happen? Walmart must be totally incompetent. No, of course not. That's not the reason. The reason why the PBMs own the specialty pharmacies that by far are the largest specialty pharmacies is because the PBM requires the use of their own specialty pharmacy to fill a specialty medication. That's right. If it's like an HIV medication, or it's a medication for rheumatoid arthritis or Crohn's disease, etc., then if you have a health insurance plan through your job that happens to use CVS Caremark as the PBM, and you need to take a specialty medication, the only way that your insurance will pay for your specialty medication is if it is filled by the CVS Specialty itself. Same thing is true for Accredo and Express Scripts. Same thing is true for Optum Specialty. That sounds like a lack of choice. So anytime we have a lack of choice, then we know that things are going to get expensive and the service is not going to be very good, because without competition, what in the world incentivizes them to provide good prices and good service? Okay, so believe it or not, this has made it to the courts. So the legal status of this whole relationship between the PBMs and the specialty pharmacies that they operate, believe it or not, it was first challenged back in 2020, went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, look, the states can actually regulate PBMs themselves if they want. Okay. So Oklahoma and other states, but Oklahoma was the most aggressive about it, Oklahoma passed a law that says PBMs can no longer require employers and their employees to have to fill their specialty prescriptions at a specialty pharmacy that the PBM owns. They can go to a different specialty pharmacy. They could go to the Walmart or the Kroger specialty pharmacy. Okay, guess what happened? The Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, the PCMA, sued the state of Oklahoma. What is the PCMA? It's the trade association for PBMs. Okay, so that's like a euphemism, okay? Like, there's 3, okay? So the PCMA is a trade association. It's a lobbying group for CVS, Express Scripts / Cigna, and Optum / So it's not there's no association. It's just a lobbying organization for 3 companies. It's a lobbying organization for CVS, Aetna, for Cigna, and for United. That's all it is. Okay, and guess what? The PCMA, they won their suit against the state of Oklahoma. They said, look, the states cannot regulate PBMs because it's in objection to ERISA. And I won't get into ERISA. That's another video for another day. But the 10th Circuit effectively blocked the Oklahoma law. And so since then, 32 different states' attorney generals, both Republicans and Democrats, have since petitioned the Supreme Court. The state of Oklahoma has petitioned the Supreme Court and said, Supreme Court, will you please look at what the 10th Circuit did? And could you override or overrule what the 10th Circuit said so that this Oklahoma law and other state laws can actually go forward? And guess what? Crickets! We haven't heard anything yet. So as of August 2024, we don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court. So as of now, what the 10th Circuit said stands. The Oklahoma law was struck down, and Oklahoma cannot regulate PBMs, but who knows? We'll see if the Supreme Court takes this up and what they have to say about it. So that's what's so special about specialty pharmacy, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for watching A Healthcare Z.